welcome to episode 107 of my Doll's House Diary. Now, you may remember a couple of episodes I talked about making a Chesterfield sofa for the study, and I showed you that lovely blue velvet fabric I'd bought for it. So I'm actually going to be making a start on that today. Now, the Chesterfield sofa itself, I originally did as a tutorial over on my Patreon channel, but I'm actually going to be rebuilding it today and photographing each step for my 6th book, which I'm currently working on. But I'm also going to be making a second Chesterfield sofa, and that is for a little room box that I want to build, which is going to be based on our full-sized living room. So there'll be a little bookcase, which I've already built, a Chesterfield sofa, probably a little unit on the other side, which we don't actually have in our full-sized living room, but we do have a little gas cupboard, which we've put a pine top on to make it look more like a piece of furniture than an old-fashioned gas meter cupboard. And then I'll also be building the coffee table chest to go in front of the sofa. And like I say, that will be like a little, probably bigger than a frame box, but a small room box. And then I'm going to dress it with some lovely books and things like that. So the one that I'll be filming here today, not as a full tutorial, but just as a project that I can work on as we sort of sit and have a bit of a natter, will be the one for my little living room box. Okay, so I'll show you also the fabric that I've ordered for that, which I am really pleased with. So first of all, I just want to show you the original fabric that I had and that I really love. But this piece here is all I have left, so not enough to make the Chesterfield sofa with. But if I just show you that close up, you can see it's got a lovely, really fine herringbone pattern on it. So I'll put my sort of thumbnail there so you can see how small that is. And it's a really lovely colour as well. Now, I think I originally got this from Little Trimmings, and then I got hold of the Doll's House draper who took over Little Trimmings, and I asked her if she had any. She couldn't find any, but did say she'd keep her eye out, but that was quite a while ago. And to be honest, I haven't looked there again. I haven't chased there, but I was actually on a website called Oh So Crafty, looking for something else actually, and I came across this one. And it is slightly different. So you can see it's still got that very small sort of herringbone pattern to it, but it's got a faint stripe in it. I'm not sure if I'm sort of holding that correctly. I'm not sure if you can see the actual detail on there. But I actually really love that. So as soon as I found this one, and the colour is perfect as well, in fact probably a little bit nicer I would say, as it's a little bit warmer. This one had a sort of almost grey sort of look to it, although I suppose it is sort of taupe, very sort of pale beige colour, but this has got more of a sort of gold look, so I think I prefer this one. But when I found it, I thought, well, I'm going to order quite a good size. So it's actually, I think it was 1.4 m wide, so that's 143 centimetres, I think it was, 143 centimetres wide, and then I ordered 1 metre. So I've got sort of 1 metre by 1.5 meters, so that will be plenty for future projects. And I can see some really nice things in that. I'm actually going to be designing a armchair as well for my Patreon channel, and that will be the tutorial the month after next. And I want to do a slightly different chair, a design that I haven't done before, and I might use this for that as well. Might be quite nice. So I'll be using this one for the Chesterfield for the room box, and then you've already seen this lovely blue velvet that I ordered before, and this is for my doll's house study. And this is really lovely, really fine. And if you like the look of a velvet, you don't want to use something that's too thick, because you're not going to be able to either shape it or, you know, drape it around your piece of furniture. So that's what I was looking for in particular. And this has got a really lovely texture to it. And it's a nice sort of fine fabric. So I'm really looking forward to using that. And I'll let you know how I get on with that as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is put the fabric to one side for now and actually make a start on building the Chesterfield. So these are my pieces here. So I've got the base, the two arms, and then that's the back. And you may remember as well me cutting these a few episodes ago. And then I sort of put the tape around each section rather than muddling it all up. And that's a really good way. If you're making a sort of larger piece of furniture or something that's got a lot of pieces, it's a really good idea to sort them out. You don't have to tape them. You can put them in some little pots if you've got enough pots. I also use pots for my projects. And then yesterday, in preparation for this episode, I cut another lot of pieces. And this will be for my living room box. And this is the one that I'm actually going to work on today. And then as I go along, I should be making myself some notes if any part of it doesn't go smoothly, and then I'll use that when I begin the tutorial for book 6. Okay, so I think I'm going to start by constructing the base. Let me get some glue on my card as well. And again, I think I may have said in that last episode, when you're making something that is actually going to be upholstered, you don't have to use your best wood. So this is actually just some old scrap pieces of, I think, basswood that I've got that hasn't got a very nice texture to it. And again, because I'm going to be upholstering it, I'm not going to sand the surface. I'm just going to stick the pieces together as they are. So I think that was, yeah, so those first, then the sides, and then the top piece. So I'm also going to get my notepad so I can begin taking notes on how to word the steps. And one thing I do remember I did with the original tutorial was actually make the seat cushions from wood as well. So just as I'm sort of constructing the base here, making like a very slim box, that's what I did for the seat cushions. But it was actually very difficult to get the sizing correct, just because obviously you have to leave room for your foam and your fabric. And with wood, it's very difficult then to, you know, adapt the size. But if you're using foam, you can just trim it if you need to. So this time I will actually just be using foam. And I just made them out of wood because I thought it would give the cushion a more solid look. But actually, you know, I've used foam since, and you can still get that lovely sort of plump, cushiony look by using foam. So that's what I'll be doing with this one. I'm just going to grab some pieces of strip wood. These are probably a little bit long. The ones in my drawer are only really short. And I'm just going to use those to press the pieces against the base. And this is another really good tip as well, because this way you know that you're getting even pressure all the way along. And obviously then you get a more solid join. I suppose this is really like constructing a large drawer and then putting a top on it. And this really is just a way of, you know, making a thicker base without using a thick piece of wood. So I think this is probably about 1/2 inch thick. Now, obviously, if you use thicker wood and you've got cutting tools to cut thicker pieces of wood, then you could just make it out of, you know, one piece. But I like to design things that can be cut by hand and easily made by anybody. So that's why I do it like this. I know some people sometimes ask, why didn't you, you know, cut something from one piece of wood? And that's because, you know, most of the wood you buy is about 100 millimeters wide or 4 inches wide. So if you're constructing, for example, you know, a chimney breast that's going to be a lot wider than that. I'm just looking for some shorter pieces of strip. Then you'll need to use 2 pieces of wood. So that's why it's all just about making things really easy for people. Which I like to do. So I'm actually filming this on Tuesday the 28th of July, just so that it would be ready for Friday afternoon, as tomorrow Matt and I are celebrating our 15th wedding anniversary. And we're going to have a nice day out somewhere. We're probably going to go to a National Trust property. One of our favourites, I think. We're going to start with a nice pub lunch somewhere and then go on to a nice house and garden. So really looking forward to that. Just can't believe it's been 15 years already. Although sometimes I suppose it feels longer, but then that could be because we've been together for 30 years. We only got married after 15 years. So yeah, really looking forward to tomorrow, to having a day off. Then Thursday as well, we're actually out. So I won't be back in my craft room then until Friday. So I just wanted to have this episode all in the bag, as I call it, rather than, you know, having to rush around on Friday and record and edit it all in the one day. But I will be sharing, we're going to do a bit of filming while we're out. We won't film all day like we normally would, but we will do a bit of filming. I'll be sharing that in my Happy Moments weekly vlog. And if you haven't heard of my Happy Moments channel, it's called Happy Moments with Julie. And it's just really a place where I share everything that I do outside of my doll's house and miniatures hobby. Well, not everything, but some other things that I do. You know, Matt and I really enjoy days out, gardening, cooking, home decor. You know, Matt has lots of his hobbies as well. I've done a clothing haul over there with Halara, which was really lovely. So yes, it's just that sort of thing. Nice, cosy, relaxing Cotswold countryside vlogs. So if you think that sounds like something you would like, please head over there and subscribe and have a browse around while you're there, because actually so far this year we have we have shared a video every week. So there's quite a lot to, you know, watch over there and catch up on. Right, so that is actually then the base built. I can see a couple of little pieces trying to pop away, so I'm going to put some masking tape on that. And really this is how I'm going to be building the whole structure. So the arms are done in the same way, and then I have the lovely piece of dowel there for the top of the arm, and the back as well is done in the same way, just another sort of narrow box, and then a piece of dowel on the back, and then I will shape the corners. Okay, so I'll find some masking tape for this. So I've just tucked a bit of masking tape around each end there, and that's enough then to hold all of those pieces together. So that can go to one side to dry. I think I'll do the back piece next. pieces are now constructed, and I just want to show you how that will go together. Probably quite self-explanatory from how I've set them up here, but the back bit will attach there like that. The sides are then the same depth as the base and the back piece, so we're just sort of enclosing the base there. And then the back dowel will sit on there, but so that we've got a flush edge on the inside here where my finger is, so that will be straight down there. And I usually just use a piece of sheetwood to help me line that up. And then these come out at the sides, same thing again, so that they're flush on the inside edge, like that. Oops, I thought that was going to happen. So it all meets up at the back here, and then I will round off each of these back corners to give it that nice rounded look that the Chesterfield has. So I'm not going to have time now to begin the upholstery on this today, but again, when I do start that, I'll go through and make my notes to find the best way of actually, applying the fabric to get the absolute neatest finish. And then I'll make those cushions, like I say, using foam rather than wood this time. But what I do want to do now with this piece as it is here and all these separate pieces is actually go and try it into place in the study just to see how much room I've got at either side. So because the dowel kept rolling off whilst I was trying to put the pieces into place, I've just attached them with another piece of masking tape there. So I'm now just going to set it up where it will sit in there. And that back dowel, I don't know if you can see it from that angle, goes back a few millimetres. So I've got a bit of skirting board there, but that will just sit slightly away from the wall. Not that it really makes much difference in what I'm doing here, because obviously this doesn't need to be exact. I just want to see how it's going to look in the room. And it actually looks smaller than I thought it would. I thought it might be a little bit overpowering. Now, the sort of annoying thing about it is if you have it sort of directly opposite the fireplace, if I sort of move it over, you haven't really got a lot of room on this side then for like a little lamp table. I've probably only got about 20 millimetres there, so 3/4 of an inch. So I'd need to put something there very small. So hopefully I'll just be able to move that over a bit. So I've probably got about 1.5 inches at this side for a nice sized table. And we will be slightly off centre, but from looking in from the front, we shouldn't really be able to tell. Looking through the camera there, I don't think you can tell, can you? That actually the sofa isn't directly opposite the fireplace. I mean, I will be having a coffee table here, so that might give the game away a bit. But I really do want a little lamp table on this side. Maybe I could do something just very small, maybe a little round table or something. And then at the back there, I'll be having the built-in bookcase, probably just over halfway across that back wall, and then a small desk with a chair at that side. So I've got plenty of room back there for that. So I can actually use that as a marker. So I've probably got about 3.5, 3 3/4 inches coming from that back wall towards the side of the sofa. And that's probably about 88 millimetres, roughly. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. And it looks flat to the floor now, but I will be putting some little feet on there. And I normally use a bit of sort of 2.5 millimetre sheet wood for that. So that will raise it up a little bit. It won't look quite so flat. But I like that. I think with the pale blue fabric, that's going to look really lovely in there. And then lots of lovely cushions. And I'm still working on that crocheted throw. I probably haven't done much more to it since the last episode. But what I do want to show you now is some other projects that I'm working on at the moment. So this is the holiday chalet room box that I'm currently working on over on my Patreon channel. So still a little bit to do in here, still want to make quite a few accessories. But we've got some really nice pieces in there so far. And all of the furniture in here I did as monthly tutorials, and then the actual building, decorating, making the doors, the floor, and everything else has been in the Tea and Biscuits episodes, which is a tier 1 project. Got the little beach bag there. And I've got a couple of pieces of cork here, and my next project, which will start the following episode, is actually to make a pair of flip-flops. So really looking forward to that. And then a couple of nights ago, I actually finished stitching these 2 bedside rugs. Now, I actually planned on doing them the same colours. So the background is peach, and then I wanted to use that very pale green that you can see at the top there. But for some reason I picked up the wrong shade of green and didn't realise until I'd been around once with it. And that will teach me to stitch in a sort of semi-dark room. But I didn't want to start picking it out, so I left it as the darker green. So I now have an option whether to have the light green or the dark green one at this side, and then the other one will go on the other side. So it isn't really going to be noticeable when looking in the room, but I wanted to keep it symmetrical and have one at the other side as well. So I'll be finishing those off as well in the next episode and getting those into place. And I'll also be having a rug at the end of the bed here. Probably something that will use the sort of crisscross design that we've got on most pieces of furniture. But yeah, really pleased with how that's coming along. Both paintings in there are by Matt. He did both of those for me, really love those. And I'll be making some suitcases to go on top of the wardrobe there. But yeah, just really loving this one. Really love all of the colours and everything that we've got in there. And I'll be doing a lovely sort of beach backdrop to go outside the double doors. And then I've got here the kitchen rug. So I've done the outer border, and as you can see, I've now done the internal border. And then this will all be backed with cream, which I'll come on to next. But I actually did this border, this inner border, slightly differently. Because of the sort of pattern of these little flowers and leaves, I was finding it hard to actually count, and I was getting the next one in the wrong place. So I was sort of just working in one colour, but found a couple of times that I'd not counted the correct number of holes. So what I actually did was thread up 4 needles with each of these colours, dark pink, light pink, and the dark and light green, and worked 4 needles at once. And although that sounds more complicated, I did actually find it a lot easier, because then I could just work my way around in colour, copying the pattern that I'd done before, and just picking up the needle from the back, you know, to the colour that I needed. So I did actually find that a lot easier. And I did put a post on Instagram as well, asking if anybody else works that way. I don't think I actually had any comments back on that. But if you work that way, then let me know in the comments section below. Or do you prefer just to do one colour at a time? But I did, like I say, find that a lot easier. And I think I'll probably do that with the next sort of pattern that I create in the centre there. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this one. And now that I've finished those 2 bedside rugs for the room box, I can start concentrating on this one again. But like I say, like I've said before, I've got a rug to make for every room, which I'm going to design and stitch myself. So got a lot of rugs to make. So I was saying earlier about how I used pots for my pieces. So these are 2 projects I've got on the go at the moment. This is going to be a very modern TV cabinet with sliding doors, similar to sort of barn doors and how that mechanism works. And then this is an Art Deco sideboard. And I know this doesn't really give much away, but that is going to be for the 1940s doll's house dining room. So that will be coming up soon as well. And then this bed I made as a furniture tutorial, and I was going to sell it as the bed frame, but I love it so much I'm actually going to dress this one. And I want to choose some really lovely fabric for that. I'm thinking maybe some sort of black and gold fabric might look really nice on there. So I'm really looking forward to doing that as well. And yeah, just the other projects that I've sort of mentioned in this episode. So the Chesterfield sofas, still working on book 6. So yeah, the bedroom room box to complete. Then I'll be working on the living room box, working on book 6, my doll's house, the 1940s doll's house, as well as my Happy Moments with Julie channel. So lots going on, and that's why I put these videos to fortnightly. But like I said, that is hopefully just for now, and when I get caught up, and certainly once book 6 is released, I'll be able to start doing the weekly videos again, if that's what you want, because I'm still noticing that my views are actually dropping off a bit. So I'm not sure what I can do to make more of my subscribers watch the videos. But if you would do me a favour and just make sure you've got the notification bell turned on, just in case you're not being notified about the videos. And I know from experience and what some of my other viewers have told me, that even though you subscribe to a channel, you don't always get shown their new videos. So maybe that could be part of the problem. But if you hit the notification bell and select all, then you'll be notified whenever I upload a video. That's if you want to watch them all, of course. If you could hit the thumbs up and leave me a comment as well, because I do love to read them. And although I don't always reply to all of them, I will put a heart on them just to let you know that I've seen them. And I actually have it set so that they do pop up on my phone as soon as you press enter on your comment. So I do see them all, and then I'll go through and pop hearts on all of them when I've got a spare 5 minutes. But yes, that's going to be it for today's episode. I hope you sort of enjoyed this updatey type episode, and every so often there will be one of these, but I promise you we will get back into the doll's house and start making more furniture and obviously accessorising the rooms, which I know you all love. So yeah, I'm going to let you go now. I hope you have a lovely weekend and a lovely couple of weeks, and I'll see you again a week on Friday. So until then, take care. Bye.